So the short answer is you just have hard currency. That's my short answer. Everybody can scroll on from there. Anybody who wants to do a deep dive, I'll give you a little bit more to explain that. The existence of the mega corporation that we understand today, right? The mega corporate oligarchs that everybody's talking about on TikTok, where it's like, because it's real fashionable. And they, once again, a lot of these people teleport past the other two. It's a three-pronged fork, right? I mean, there's three prongs to it. Number one is banking, number two is government, and number three is the mega corporate oligarchs. They all are the same people. To my knowledge, I think I'm like, maybe I must be one of the very few accounts probably in the world that are explaining this, because everybody else thinks it's just, they're going with just what's fashionable, which is to say, oh, it's all the fault of the corporations. Like, yeah, I mean, if you want to have a bunch of followers on that side, that's what you say. If you want to have a bunch of followers on the other side, you say it's all the fault of government, it's America. You know, that's how you do it. And I've said this probably 24 times in the last month. I've talked about this. But if you really want to have a serious conversation about it, I don't mean you specifically, but I mean just anybody, like if you want to have a serious conversation about any of this, then you have to understand that it is all three of them, and they are all equally part of it. The existence of the mega corporation, the way we understand it, cannot exist without government and bankers creating currency from nothing and creating this fake sort of, this fake fiat nonsense currency that, you know, I mean, like this is the problem, is that a bunch of people that come from the so-called leftist idea, and again, I'm referring to this in more of the geopolitical. I don't mean necessarily like in the specifics. I'm just talking about like the what we would colloquially refer to as the sort of the left. They don't want to have hard currency either, because they want to control the slaves themselves, right? Right? I mean, that's near as I can tell. That's all they want. Nobody wants to have the hard currency, because see, if you have a hard currency, here's what goes away. Big banking goes away. It just goes away. Big insurance companies goes away. There's no way mathematically for an insurance company, which is just kind of a casino after a fashion. It's a gambling operation. They can't operate with hard currency. There's no possible way, because in order to operate, they would have to take in enough premium to pay out all of the claims. It's not possible, because your premiums would be so high, you would never pay it, right? We're not just talking health insurance, although that's in the news. We're talking any insurance, right? Because the math doesn't support it. So, especially if there is an anomaly, right? Like a weather event. That's all it takes, is one event that isn't, you know, that isn't part of the actuary tables, and the insurance company is gone, which means that everybody who if you were in the front of the line, you got paid. If you're on the back of the line, you didn't get any money, right? Which makes it a Ponzi scheme, which means that, like, well, there's no way for them to really operate. You could operate an insurance company only until you had to pay a bunch of people out, and then when you didn't pay a bunch of people out, they would Brian Thompson you. Okay? Yeah, that's just the truth. That is insurance. Banking is no different. Banking is insurance in reverse. It's the same basic idea, and it cannot pay out, it cannot make, within a hard currency environment, it can't survive. It's just not possible. Okay? So, yeah, I mean, and then, of course, government can't really exist. The way that we think of government can't exist in a hard currency environment at all, because it then, if it wants to have some kind of crazy war, it has to tax the people directly enough to pay for the war, and most people are going to say, dude, I don't care about the borders in some other country, because that's usually what it is. Has usually nothing to do with the U.S. in particular. Speaking to those who speak English, I mean, English will be a dead language in about 200 years anyway, so, I mean, so for those of you that are still speaking English, I'm talking to you. But yeah, so I mean, if to your question is like, well, what if they do this, this, and this? Like, yeah, of course they're going to try and do that. Of course they're going to fight for survival, like anything else would, like any other entity. The trick is just to not even have a system that you have to police. See, if you have to police a system, then it's not really a system, is it? It's more of just an organization. It's a think of it like this. You know, all of the different isms that I've talked about throughout time, you know, like throughout my existence of doing these videos, I've explained that all of the isms, those are not economic systems. Those are systems of management. That's all they are. And they require management. They require farmers. They think of yourself like tax livestock. You have a farmer, and the farmer's job is to create isms, all different kinds of isms: capitalism, corporatism, communism, fascism, social, what is it, national socialism, all these different isms. Their whole idea is it's just a system of management of people. It's not actually an economic system. An economic system is like gravity. Nobody needs to go enforce the law of gravity, right? I don't know if you've noticed this or not. I don't mean you specifically, but I mean just like people in general. Right? You notice that we don't actually have to pass any laws to have gravity continue to function. Congress, in fact, Congress can pass a law, you know, tomorrow morning and say, that's it, we're making gravity illegal. And gravity is not going to care. That's how you have to look at this. You have to, it's sort of, and I've tried for years to get to explain this to you. I've come to the conclusion I don't think I can. I don't think I possess the vocabulary, and I've got a pretty decent vocabulary, and I don't think I possess the vocabulary nor the patience, frankly, to explain. And don't misunderstand, I have tried to explain that that people have got to start thinking multidimensionally and get away from the dollar idea. Stop measuring things in dollars. Start measuring them against anything that doesn't move, anything else that doesn't move, right? In other words, financial physics. It's where the name comes from. Okay, so yeah, I mean, if you stop measuring against moving targets, then it's very easy to see that most of these structures, they can't exist anyway. They go away very quickly. Well, what replaces it? This is the criticism I get all the time. It's like, what do you mean what replaces it? Small businesses. The people doing the work and making stuff and then selling it. That's what replaces it. Like, well, but then I can't own a corporation and do nothing all day, sit on a beach and have my people do it. No, that's exactly right. It means you have to do the work yourself. You and your people and you have to pay your people an appropriate wage that you agree on, that is you know, that has a something that works for you and for them both, and that they can function in the economy right along with you because they're helping you build your empire. And yeah, you're going to make a bit more money, but not these ridiculous wealth gaps that you're seeing now. Right? The ridiculous wealth gap is an outgrowth of fiat money. That's all that is. That's just an outgrowth of currency that's not worth anything. That's just conjured out of nothing. So, yeah, I mean, so what I'm answering is I'm answering the premise of the question, not the question itself, because what you're effectively asking is like, well, how can we create another system? No, you don't need to create another system. You don't need to create another system. What you need to do is just have a hard currency, and the system works itself out. Well, but that means that all this stuff will go away, and yes, that's what will disappear is not wealth. What disappears is the illusion of wealth. You understand? Like, you follow me on this? It's not wealth that disappears. It's the illusion of wealth, the illusion of something for nothing, the illusion of I can have somebody else do all the work for me. This is not exclusive to the leftists. It's not. This is a people thing. Not a month goes by I don't, you know, like, dude, the Tears for Fears wrote a whole song about it, man. In the 80s, everybody wants to rule the world. I mean, this is not exclusive. I must be one of the few people who doesn't want to rule the world. I just want an honest game. You know, that's it. I mean, all I want is an honest game. I don't really care about who wins. I just want it to be honest. So, yeah, I mean, I hope that kind of answers your question, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, maybe just we need to think about it in those terms, and that'll be a lot more helpful, I think, going forward.